Hey folks, welcome to another battle report. It's the Ogres again versus my Empire, and we're going to go for a scenario generated from the random scenario generator for 6, and this will just give us a few more different options that we wouldn't have in a standard pitch battle, and just makes things a bit more interesting. Nothing random appeared on this one, but we did a meeting engagement. When you set up your armies for the random scenario generator, you also want to put a couple of units either into your vanguard or rear guard, and certain scenarios you'll get a particular bonus for having units in each. In this one, we actually did a meeting engagement where we both had to move onto the table. So our setup, you move on with your vanguard first, and then once both players have got the vanguard on, we then move on with their main army, and you could also move your vanguard again. So it just allowed your vanguard to get up quite close into the opponent's side, as all your army actually has to move on from your table edge, and then anyone who was put into the rear guard was reserve. So in my vanguard I had my pistoliers and a unit of knights, and I think I put a unit of knights in my rear guard. And as for my opponent, I can't remember what he put in his vanguard. Might have been a unit of bulls or the lead belchers, who become up front, as you can see shortly. So let's have a quick look at the ogres, and as you can see here, he's got a unit of bulls up on the hill there. Again, it has one butcher in, a unit of another unit of bulls, again with a butcher in, a unit of iron guts, behind him a unit of 20 nobblers, 2 lead belchers, and his gorger. There's no special setups allowed for this scenario, so the gorger was started on the board. And at the top there, he's got his Rhinox riders. They actually might have been the guys that were in his vanguard. That's why they got up so close, because in this scenario you can actually move on from halfway from both set table edges, so you got like a corner where you can move on from. And as you see on the top there, I've got my steam tank, my unit of archers, 5 archers, a unit of halberdiers, just the same as last time. These are my dogs of war standing in for my halberdiers. A unit of crossbowmen, which is a detachment, and you can just see a swordsman next to it. And down the bottom here you can see the pistoliers as well. So here's my force in total. Actually, yeah, at the top there was my halberdiers, a detachment of crossbowmen, detachment of a swordsman, 2 wizards. Again, this I'm still using Law of Fire and a Law of Beasts. The Beast also has a Doomfire ring, so you can do some fire damage. Again, these 2 are mainly there to get rid of troll guts, because if you do fire damage to any unit with regeneration, it removes it for the rest of the game. And then my other unit of halberdiers, they look a bit odd because some of them are facing their direction, but they're actually facing towards the narrow facing, so they're only 4 wide. So they're in bus formation. Again, got 10 crossbowmen that are going to go around the cliff top at the top there, and 10 swordsman down the bottom. My cannon's just moved on, is going to set up as you can see. And then I have my knights. These guys did come on as a vanguard, but I didn't want to move them up too much, and my pistoliers are just below this wood at the bottom of the page here. And here's just a view from my side of the table. There's quite a lot of terrain on this table. This is mainly because I slightly misread how the terrain would be set up. We did the random alternate deployment, and I read it as the maximum you can have is for every 2 foot of table edge, but that's actually only the deployment long edges. So there should have been a maximum of 6 pieces of terrain, and we've got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we've got the 8 areas I think on there. So that was my bad, but made for an interesting bit more of a tight fighting position. So the ogres get first turn and move up, as you can see. I was quite happy with his Rhinox riders to move up in front of my steam tank, because I think my steam tank should be able to easily handle them. One thing I didn't realise with the steam tank is Rhinox riders actually have impact hits, and any unit that has impact hits against the steam tank, if it charged, would actually receive d6 strength 6 hits in return. So yeah, I didn't know that until I was reading the rules for it, but they didn't get the charge off to get the extra impact hits in this one, so got away with that. So the opponent moves most of his troops up. I don't think he got many spells off. If not, there were just supporting spells, which I didn't mind coming through. His Gorge has gone up to try and hold up my flank there, which is what he's perfect for. I'm just got to try and get rid of him with my pistoliers. And his Nobblers are going around the far side of the woodlands, as you see. There's no markers out and about that I can see there, so I'm assuming he didn't get much in the way of magic off. So in my turn, the reserve knights come on, as you can see down the bottom, with their chance to run around the left hand side and try and get around the opponent. My magic and shooting doesn't do very much. Into combat, I do 3d3 strength 6 impact hits, wipe out one of the Rhinox riders, but then that one Rhinox rider strikes back, and yeah, I managed to take 10 wounds. So there's me thinking my unkillable, indestructible steam tank is going to do well, but yeah, I think it's definitely found its limit here. In my turn, my Pistoliers got up to get in the way of the Gorger, hopefully get some failed charges off. He tries to charge them, then tries to charge my cavalry, but was out of range, and obviously my Pistoliers fled. I actually have my general in this halberdier unit, so hopefully with his high leadership of 9, they should be able to rally and keep harassing. As this, just my opponent moves up in his turn, not much else happens on this flank. And yeah, this really hurts. I thought my steam tank would be the ultimate counter to the Rhinox riders, but actually proved to be the other way here. That's Rhinox rider. If you're wondering why I'm taking a lot of wounds, the way steam tanks work, they don't effectively have wounds. They have what they call hull points, and they take hull points depending on what location you hit them. Basically, their weapon skill, I think, could be 1, could be 3, but if you hit, even if you miss, you still hit. But you get to roll a d6, add your strength, and if you're hitting a soft part, in which case you hit, you get to -8 to that, and if you hit a hard part, you miss in combat, you get -10 to that. So this dude is strength 6, and for each hit you get through, that's effectively a whole point lost. And I think I've got 27, and I'm up to 23 now, so my steam tank is being torn to pieces by these things. This was a very bad idea. So on my turn, I went for kind of a ballsy magic phase and for steam points. The purple dice showing the steam points I've got, which seems odd that I've got 2, but actually I think I went for max, and just to see if I can really reverse up and back into him. But I think 2 is what I've had left, so I think I've got the 5 steam points to try and drive into him. And I think actually it's showing that's 2d3 impact hits I'll be getting. That's how much I could back up and go forwards again. So I must have moved back twice and then forwards twice to be able to drive into this thing. Other than that, yes, in my magic phase I throw a bunch of dice to try and get a wall of fire off. So there's dice at the front of the butcher and iron gut unit at the top there. They have a wall of flame in front of them, so that should slow them down nicely. If they want to risk going through it, it's strength 4 hit each, and of course if they got their troll guts up, that will remove that. Other than that, not a lot of damage happening. I've tried, my Pistoliers rallied, obviously as fast carry they can then move again and shoot, so they move up to pepper another round of shots into the Gorger. And that is it for me overall. I think my cannon has been depressingly crap at hitting anything. I think I fired it and it's just landed in the mud. Though saying that, I am looking, and there does seem to be a wound on the butcher on the left hand side, but that might be him breaking his own teeth. So yeah, unfortunately my steam tank didn't last long against these guys' strength 6. Yeah, smashed him up, and now he's got this terrifying, terror-causing creature to run around my line, especially since my general's on the other side of the mountain. I'm going to be relying on my standard leadership of 8s and 7s. Back into my opponent's turn, the Gorger charges again at my Pistoliers, who decide to flee and make do with that. On the right hand side, my knights, they're not in a circle, just normal knights, are been charged by the Nobblers. I thought I'd be alright with this. I know I've only got 5 models, but I've got a 1-up save, and I know he's got quite a few combat res, but I should be able to damage him without him doing too much hurt to me. But this Gorge is now getting to a point now where I can't really deal with it until I charge something with it. It's just that it was hard to kill. I mean, toughness 5, so 6 to wounds for most of my infantry, and it's got killing blow, so I don't really want to send my lord in against it. So that's how we're looking at the moment. On the other side of the table, this is pretty much as disastrous as it can, because I've now got a Rhinox rider into my flank. So thankfully, I'm pretty sure my crossbowman passed their terror check. If you're wondering where my archers vanished, yeah, they got within 6 inches of the Rhinox rider and then fled. But thankfully, my knights at the top there are doing what they do, and they're going to try and scarf around the top. My opponent's butcher has come out to try and cast some magic at them and get them to panic off and stop them stealing some extra victory points. My opponent actually dared to go through the wall of fire, and I actually managed to cause enough wounds to kill off an ogre and got them to flee. So that was a good wall of fire, that one. I enjoyed that one. And of course on this side, my opponent gets to get, what, I think it was like 2 wounds through with his nobblers and kills the knight. God damn it. So now he's lapped around to get some more attacks onto my knights. What I thought, I'll be alright, wasn't so impressive. Though I am causing quite a few wounds thanks to my, 8 attacks I'm getting there against their weapon skill 2. So hitting on 3s, wounding on 4s, and they've got no save. So I can get the wounds through. But he doesn't have to get too many through to get all the combat res. So in my turn, the cannon gets this one chance to get rid of this Varnox Rider. As you can see, my halberdier's turned to the left, and lo and behold, he actually got him. Well done, lad. Yeah, it's made up for the fact that he's done nothing else in this game. That's got rid of the terror off my flank, and as I said, my crossbowman actually managed to hold for this round. And yes, overall, that's the rest of my lines. So at the moment, I'm facing leftwards with my halberdiers at the bottom, and as you see, I've put a wizard right up front there to be nobbled by his heroes, just to keep slowing them down, keep throwing stuff in, keep shooting at them. That's my theory now. Try and give myself as much time as I can to deal with them. My other wizards popped up the other side and blasted some magic at the lead belchers, and they're being reduced. But he does manage to rally his butcher and iron gut at the top there, which is a bit disappointing. That's how we look overall. So my opponent's turn, he does charge my wizard, who's standing directly in front. For some reason he brings his ogres across this direction, and I cannot remember why. Also, I think in my turn I actually sent my detachment from the halberdiers behind the hill into the gorger just to hold it in place now, and that's freed my pistoliers up to come and help harass the lead belchers, as you can see. And I think this is during my opponent's turn still. My 4 knights actually beat off the nobblers. And thankfully I beat them, and their leadership is so low. The fact they only beat them by 1 didn't matter too much. Yeah, my pistoliers along with the wizard are helping to try and sort out the lead belcher, while my men desperately just try and hold the gorger up in its flank. I am running out of men, but that's what they're there for. They are detachments. And this overrun through the nobblers has also given me a nice flank charge, as long as I pass my fear test to take on the ogre at the top there. My cannon, which had managed to do well at the last round by getting rid of the Varnox Rider, then proceeds to explode. I'm really debating whether it's actually worth having 2 cannons. I know I've got one on the steam tank, but it's not quite... I don't know. I just feel like the cannons are really useful to take down monsters, but I always seem to lose one this way. If I had to, just what 100 points do I lose? That's the challenge. But yeah, this one just pops. And these guys actually broke, which was entirely disheartening. And I'm not sure if you actually I've just taken a picture here to show him he's pursued them and caught them. But yeah, I was hoping they would hold up for one more turn there. You see my priest now has got right up in front of everyone, just to try and cast some more spells on the gorger and try and damage it with his Doomfire Ring. D6 strength 3 hits, but every little helps at this point. And my pistoliers are just at the top there. You can't quite see them, but they spun around the top there to shoot again on the lead belcher. I was so proud of these boys. They went in against that ogre and butcher, and of course they're only in contact with the ogre, and they managed to kill him off, which gave me the 3 plus a flank, so 4 to the butcher, and butcher broke and I ran him down. So these guys not only took those points for me, but they're also going to be scoring points as they are, because I'm in there within 12 inches of their deployment, where they marched on from, which is fantastic. So my turn, I had moved up to block him up again, this time with my detachment, and he decides to charge out with his general and move his iron guts up. Looking at this now, it's a slight mistake, because as he left the unit, his unit should have been returned to being 4 wide, which would have brought that back one across. But it doesn't matter now, it's been and done. Over here, his gorger just turns to face to charge him next turn. Not a lot I can do. My guys obviously can't march because of the range of the enemy, so they're kind of stuck trying to march around this hill, which just ain't going to work for them. So I think they're just going to have to accept the charge from the Gorger. And my Pistoliers at the top there. The Lead Belcher has turned to face them, but I think he's only got one wound left. My Pistoliers have got a couple of wounds on him. So these poor buggers, I haven't shown much of them. They've been trying to get into the opponent's deployment zone to score me some extra victory points as well. And they've just had this Butcher constantly following them, constantly putting Brain Gobbler and Tooth Cracker on them. They've obviously lost one of their number, and for one of it must have been the panic-inducing one. I think that's Brain Gobbler. They are currently fleeing, which is unfortunate. His leader came in and destroyed my detachment, and then had the decision of either staying where he was and then charging my crossbowman, or having a round of shooting against him at close range, or overrunning to get out of my shooting and be safe that way, and then move around next turn and maybe come to get me in the flank of my halberdiers. But he decided to go for the overrun, but only overrun like 2 inches. So he's well in front of my crossbowman, and I think my crossbowmen are actually out of his arc as well, because being a monster, he's only got his front 90-degree arc. So my opponent's turn, as you can see, I'd moved up with my troops at the bottom and got charged in the rear of the Gorger. His Iron Guts gone straight into my halberdiers in the front. My Pistoliers have come up to harass in behind, and he's gone into my crossbowman. And it was at this point, well, not at this point, but the game actually, I believe, should have ended at the end of his my last turn, due to the fact this game was only supposed to last 5 turns, because it was random game lengths. You roll for your game length, and it turned out to be 5 turns, so it would have ended this turn, but we'd continue playing for another turn and gone for the traditional 6, because you're so used to doing 6 turns. At the top there, the Lead Belcher, I think, was trying to run after my scoring unit of knights that are in his deployment zone, which left my Pistoliers free to come and harass where they can. And I think it was this round that I really thought, I really realised I could do with a BSB to help hold my lines together, because my troops have got the body there not to be outnumbered by the fear-causing enemy, and have a chance to actually win over time with the combat res, especially if I can hold the first turn, due to the fact their great weapons will be striking last. But yeah, it didn't seem to be. It's just a shot from the other side. You can see the Lead Belcher going after my 9, so we're going to try and hide behind the hill. And the top side there, you can just see the Butcher in behind those tors there, or standing stones, however you want to call them. Yeah, he's still chasing my other set of knights. Yeah, it's so annoying. I didn't lose by a lot, but I lost my halberdiers, and my crossbowmen, they stood and shot, but I expected them to die anyway. But I really was hoping for my halberdiers to hang on. They didn't do very many wounds to him, maybe like 1 or 2, and I'd lost, looking at that picture there, probably 5 guys. But I then had 3 ranks and number, so what's that, 4, 5, so I probably only lost by like 1 or 2, so yeah, I definitely think the BSB will probably be a good use in this low leadership army. And there's just showing the Gorger there, eating slowly through my halberds. So, it was my final turn. I thought I'll give it a go and see what happens here. I was into the flank, and had a chance to do some damage, because the Pistoliers have got Fusillade, which means on the turn, I think it's the first turn of combat, they actually get 2 strength 4 armor piercing attacks each, and I think I had all 5 in base contact, so that's 5 strength 4 attacks, followed up by another 5 strength 3 attacks, and I just want to kill. You've already got some wounds on him, and if I can just get 10 wounds on him, no attacks will come back, else there's only 3, and I've got a flank charge as well, and I thought that would be a nice little thing, just to try and steal some extra points. But as you see there, I broke and fled on the top left hand side. I think I did 1 wound, which was totally embarrassing, and my big unit stays down here. And I think then we tallied it up, and the points were, I think it was a draw in the end. But then we realised we actually played for 1 extra turn, and going back to the turn, I wouldn't have lost my halberdiers, my crossbowmen, my pistoliers, and yeah, it would have actually been a win for the Empire. So I'm definitely classing it as a win for the Empire for now. But the Ogres fear large amount of damage they can kick out is a pain. The amount of damage they actually did to my steam tank was totally depressing. I was hoping that would last a lot longer and take out those Rhinox riders. I don't really have an answer to them. I've got to try and hit them with a cannon, but obviously they're actually manoeuvrable enough they can get away from the cannon. And terror will be a nightmare. So I definitely think a BSB is in order, but again, BSBs don't help with psychology. It's only for the combat resolution tests that they get to get the rerolls on. But still think it was worth it. I didn't mention what a warrior priest did with his prayers because his prayers were pretty much useless throughout. Though again, having 5 dispel dice is quite good, but I'm quite content with 4 dispel dice and 2 dispel scrolls. That seems to stop a lot of the things coming through. With 2 dispel scrolls, you can definitely stop those niche spells that you know are going to make a big difference, and really annoys your opponent that you can hold on for them so long. I tend to try and get rid of my dispel scrolls by turn 3, because in the meantime I'm chucking my wizards, as you can see, in front of things to try and slow things down. I think that's one of the main things you've got to do with these ogres, is just try and slow them down, because there's not big enough numbers for them to take a lot of shooting. But again, in this game, my shooting wasn't entirely effective. The fact we had to move on didn't help, because obviously for the first 2 turns, both units of crossbowmen were getting into position, and then the crossman on the left-hand side had to move again to give it a shot for the cannon, which saved the day on that flank. So yeah, the move or shoot is really annoying with the crossman, and my poor old huntsman didn't last very long once again, but for 50 points, I don't mind that. It definitely seems a big loss to me. And the steam tank losing out to the Rhinox Riders might not be so bad. I mean, I can't remember what it is. It's 25 points less. I think it might be 275 points for the steam tank, and I think it's 375 for those Mornfang Rhinox Riders on the Bull Rhinox as well, so they're on the big ones. So yeah, I think I learned a bit from fighting the ogres. It's definitely not fully prepared on fighting them again, and my empire definitely needs a few changes to it. I still like my big blocks of halberdiers. I know so many people say halberdiers suck, but I like my halberdiers. And I've just managed to get a hold of the boxes. Finally arrived from War Games Atlantic, which I had been planning to do build up my Dogs of War army with. But I'm looking at them now, and they make just great stallions. And I actually think the Empire Army book is more in keeping with the Conquistador Stallion theme than the Dogs of War, which means I don't get any pike in it, but they've got the spear, I've got my halberdiers as well, and I can use the handguns. So hopefully, good old War Games Atlantic will release the Conquistador Cavalry, and give me some more pistoliers to use to keep the theme going. So I'll get some of those painted and probably put a small review up for those and let you have a look at them. Hopefully they're good, because I bought 3 boxes of them to start me off. And we'll see how it goes. Alright guys, I'll see you on the next one. Farewellis.